The crown prince's younger brother adored my sister, yet was forced to marry me instead. In the 3rd year of our marriage, he led a campaign south to suppress bandits and returned with another woman. Her features bore an uncanny resemblance to my sister's. He indulged her every whim with boundless indulgence, while his gaze toward me grew increasingly weary, treating me as if I were invisible. I lived in constant fear, treading on thin ice within the Eastern Palace. Mother scolded me for being useless. My sister said I lacked the bearing of a proper consort, and even father declared me unworthy of being a daughter of the Langyawang clan. Later, when I fell gravely ill, he frantically sought out every renowned physician. I could not understand him, nor could he understand me. I only wished to return to Langya, where my horse and my little general awaited. I was born into the Langyawang clan. From the moment I understood, mother told me, born into the Wang family. Neither sons nor daughters control their own marriages. As children of the Wang clan, we were born to be nourishment for the royal house, the intricate bonds sustaining the ties between noble clans and the imperial family. The freedom of marriage and the pursuit of wealth and honor are like fish in bear's paws, one cannot have both. The most outstanding daughter of the Wang family must become the empress, setting an example for the realm. The sons of the Wang family, too, cannot decide their own marriages. They must wed daughters of other noble houses to maintain their lineage. When my elder sister turned 17, she became the emperor's empress. The emperor, frail and childless, designated his younger brother, Li Xuanye, as crown prince at an early age, and the choice for his principal consort inevitably fell upon me. Li Xuanye was warm and approachable, though born of a military family. He possessed sharp, sword-like brows and starry eyes, radiating a heroic and dashing elegance. Father said I was more fortunate than my sister. Mother silently shed tears. Were it not for the Wang family's honor, we could never have allowed both daughters to marry into the imperial family. His Majesty is frail, but thankfully the crown prince is upright, clear-minded, and handsome. Mingjue, if you marry him, you won't suffer injustice. But father and mother didn't know that before Li Xuanye was named crown prince, he and my sister had shared a deep bond. At the capital's poetry gathering, my sister disguised herself as a man and composed verses so exquisite they drew universal praise. Li Xuanye and she became confidants who shared everything. During the Lantern Festival, my sister and he released sky lanterns together by the golden brightness pool. I witnessed it all. The admiration in Li Zun's eyes and the tender affection in my sister's gaze flowed like spring water, melting winter ice. Everyone in the capital knew Wang Rulin was the eldest daughter of the Wang family, exceptionally noble, well-versed in poetry and literature, skilled in both civil and military arts. As the second daughter, I grew up sheltered under my sister's and parents' wings, untroubled. Mother and father once said, Rulin possesses the grace befitting an empress. She is destined for the palace. Mingjue, lively by nature, is better kept close. That young general of the Lin family spends his days teasing cats and dogs with her. I see them as a pair of lovable rivals. Should they marry, Mingjue will be well cared for. Yet fate is unpredictable. When the old emperor fell gravely ill, he passed the throne to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince was frail, perpetually ill, and childless. With a single imperial decree, my elder sister became his principal consort. Soon after, His Majesty passed away. A period of national mourning began, prohibiting marriages for 3 years. My marriage to Lin Xian was put on hold. Lin Xian taught me to ride horses, took me hunting, and showed me the beauty of the mountains and rivers. I always believed I was meant to marry him. But heaven does not always grant our wishes. Ultimately, I too had to enter that palace city I feared. I am not as clever as my elder sister, nor do I possess the grace and poise of the noble ladies from the capital's prominent families. Securing the position of primary consort in the Eastern Palace felt like an absurd gift, a pie that had fallen from the sky onto my head. I could not refuse a marriage others envied, nor did I have the courage to flee secretly, fearing I would bring shame upon my family. Being born into the royal house was both my fortune and my curse. Lin Xian once waited for me on a rainy night, holding the reins of his horse at our old meeting place, waiting all night long. Later, he caught a severe cold and fell gravely ill. After recovering, he refused to see me again. When the eldest prince ascended the throne, my elder sister became empress at just 17. I often accompanied mother to the palace to visit her. The new emperor treated her well, yet my sister still walked on eggshells within these palace walls. Mother often urged her to bear an heir, but bowl after bowl of fertility potions yielded no results, until the new emperor too became bedridden. He issued an edict early on, naming his seventh younger brother, Li Xuanye, as crown prince. The decree appointing the crown prince's principal consort also fell to the Wang family. On the day of my marriage, Lin Xian was ordered to defend the southern border. From that day onward, I became the principal consort of the eastern palace. The man Li Xuanye loved became his imperial sister-in-law. While the man I loved would never see me again in this lifetime, I always believed we were kindred spirits, both trapped in the eastern palace, loving yet unable to be together with his helplessness, I with my hidden taboos. Li Xuanye treated me well, gentle as others described him, though he seldom slept in my chambers. Yet whenever he saw my trembling, fearful demeanor, he would grow sullen. Mingjue, you were always bold and defiant in your maiden's quarters. Why have you become this timid in the eastern palace? What? Am I unworthy to be your husband? Or are you still pining for your childhood sweetheart, General Lin? After that, he stopped staying in my chambers. Whenever he saw me, his brow would furrow deeply. He had utterly grown weary of me. My elder sister scolded me. Now that you're married, if you can't win your husband's heart, what if he grows tired of you and lets another bear his child? I didn't know. Mother scolded me. Even the gentle crown prince looks down on you. How can you be so foolish? Thankfully there are no other women in the eastern palace. If someone were constantly jealous and spiteful, I'd like to see how you'd handle it. The Wang family has high hopes for you. Give birth to a legitimate son soon, so your father and I can finally breathe easy. Following Lady Jiaoyin's advice, I prepared to share his bed. Clad in a sheer gown of vivid crimson, Lady Jiaoyin remarked, "The empress consort's skin is like ice, her bones like jade. This gown flatters you exquisitely. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince will surely be pleased." Li Xuanye, drunk and staggering, entered my chambers. His face flushed crimson. Seeing me thus, his anger flared anew. Mingjue, Mingjue, I don't need your favors. Spare yourself the effort henceforth. With that, he swept his sleeves and stormed off to rest in the study. The next day, Li Xuanye vanished without a trace. The palace eunuchs cautiously informed me, "Your Highness, the prince has been ordered south to suppress bandits. He may be gone for quite some time." I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. When my elder sister came to see me, she poked my head in exasperation. Last night I begged His Majesty to get him drunk while they were drinking together. How could you be so useless? My eyes stung with tears. Sister, he doesn't like me. Li Xuanye doesn't like me. How can I bear children with someone who doesn't love me? Years of pent-up sorrow poured out with my tears. My sister could only hold me and soothe me. Stop crying. Stop crying. I won't pressure you anymore. I tried writing letters to Li Xuanye, but he never replied to a single one. After apologizing so many times, I truly began to believe I was at fault. I grew increasingly cautious, walking on eggshells, until, half a year later, Li Xuanye returned. He brought back a lively young woman. She wore a fiery red dress, radiating passion. Her skin was fair, her lips rosy, her teeth pearly white, and her almond-shaped eyes fluttered playfully. In her hand, she held a 9-section whip. She looked both formidable and beautiful. He pointed at her and said, "Qingfeng Fortress has surrendered to the court. To reward them, The court specially allowed them to come down from the mountains and granted them official titles. She is the daughter of the fortress chieftain. Her name is Mingzhu. I froze. He then fixed his gaze on me. I have already petitioned the emperor. She has been granted the title of secondary consort of the Eastern Palace. I nodded. Seeing my silence, Li Xuanye grew sullen once more. Mingzhu need not bow to you henceforth, nor pay daily respects. She is free-spirited by nature, accustomed to a carefree life, and dislikes such formalities. I replied meekly. This humble servant understands. Mingzhu, however, skipped over to Li Xuanye, linking her arm through his. Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness, and thank you for your consideration. Sister, I waved my hand dismissively. No need for thanks. The West Wing is unoccupied. They'll have it cleaned out for Consort Qing to reside in. Li Xuanye wrapped his arm around her waist. Cleaning it out is fine. But for now, she may stay in my Chaoyang Hall. I silently withdrew. Nanny Chang sighed behind my back. Ah, young lady, you must think of a way. You've only just wed. And now you have a consort who's so favored. None of them understood Li Zun's true intentions. Ming's features bore an uncanny resemblance to my elder sister. Rumors spread throughout the Eastern Palace that Consort Qing enjoyed far greater favor than I, the Crown Prince's official consort. Even Mingzhu herself seemed to believe it. I avoided contact with them whenever possible, but the Eastern Palace was small enough that encounters were inevitable. I shut myself away in the small Buddhist chapel day after day. Yet she still found me. The matron helped me rise. Mingzhu deliberately knocked the burning incense from my hand. Oh dear, Your Highness. My apologies. The Crown Prince dotes on me immensely. It was for him that I gave up my freedom to enter the palace. This small Buddhist hall now belongs to me. He said I could have anything I desire. In future, Your Highness must seek divine blessings elsewhere. But even if you pray, he will not change his heart. She leaned close to me. Because he never truly liked you. The matron pushed her away. How dare you be so rude to Her Highness? But she sat down on the floor, wailing and throwing a tantrum. Li Xuanye rushed over upon hearing the commotion. Why are you bullying Consort Qing? Consort Qing sobbed. Your servant merely wished to pray to the Buddha. Who would have thought the Empress would claim this place as hers? Nanny Chang retorted. You're full of it. Li Xuanye, however, glared at me coldly. Wang Mingzhu. I sentence you to confinement. Do you accept? His icy eyes still pierced me relentlessly. This servant obeys. The daughter of the Langyu prince's family is nothing special. If you possessed half your elder sister's wisdom, I might consider myself fortunate. I abruptly lifted my head to meet his gaze, suddenly adopting a mischievous, sarcastic tone. Your Highness the Crown Prince is different from His Majesty. The Emperor treated my elder sister with great kindness. If Your Highness treated me with even half the kindness His Majesty showed her, I too would accept my fate. His expression twisted strangely. You. Mingzhu suddenly snorted coldly beside us. Li Xuanye, I refuse to speak to you anymore. I gave up my freedom to come to the palace for you. He scooped her up, his demeanor returning to its previous coldness. Wang Mingzhu. How dare you compare yourself to your sister? She is the Empress, the model for all women in the realm. What are you? Though long accustomed to Li Zun's tone, my heart still clenched in pain. He carried her past me, Mingzhu leaning against his shoulder. Her voice was soft. Your Highness, I gave up my freedom for you. What about you? What can you give up? Nanny Chang's face twisted with indignation. They had already walked far away, gazing at the sky. I murmured, does that mean my freedom doesn't count as freedom? Nanny Chang helped me back to my chambers. Mingzhu and Li Xuanye were practicing swordplay before his quarters. He held her close, correcting each of her stances. The evening breeze rippled through them, making them look like a perfect pair. Mingzhu swung her 9-section whip. Li Xuanye smiled at her with indulgent affection. Nanny Chang closed the window and sighed. Young lady, you are the daughter of the Langya Wang clan. How can you let some commoner from the mountains run wild like this? Behind you stands the empress herself, and the entire Wang family. Why must you be so helpless? I remained silent. This marriage was never something I could refuse. I lacked the courage to flee with Lin Xian. Abandoning everything. I couldn't bear the consequences of my entire clan suffering because of me. I could only become a decoration in the Eastern Palace, my last line of defense. I lowered my head, and Chang Laonyang couldn't bear to say more. But Li Xuanye seemed to think otherwise. Drunk. He pushed open my chamber door in the dead of night. His face dark and menacing. His hand clamped down hard on my jaw. Mingzhu lives up to her name. She shall be the jewel in this emperor's palm. Should I ever catch you quarreling with her again? Don't blame me for sparing your Wang family no dignity. I truly was a worthless coward, facing the supreme imperial second prince. I could only swallow my pride. The backbone the noble house had given me vanished completely. This servant understands. Scorching tears fell onto his hand, as if pricked by needles. He jerked his hand away. Why are you crying? All you do is weep day in and day out. I detest women who spend their days in tears. You seem so different from how you were in your maiden home. When I saw your elder sister, you were always chattering away. Why do you turn into this lifeless shell before me? It truly infuriates me. He lowered his head to look at me, then carefully wiped away my tears. I am your husband. You should respect me. Love me. You are the rightful crown princess of the Eastern Palace. What is there to fear? The more Li Xuanye acted like this, the more terrified I became. I knew what it felt like to love someone. It was nothing like his unpredictable moods. I only hoped Qing Mingzhu could keep him happy. It would be best if everyone in the Eastern Palace treated me like a decorative ornament, letting me live out my days in peace. That was the extent of my ambition. I did not love him, nor could I bring myself to please him. I had already enjoyed wealth and honor in my youth. I had no desire to cling to a man for future prosperity. Li Xuanye sighed and slammed the door shut. The maids exchanged glances before pouring me a soothing herbal tea. Your Highness. If His Imperial Highness shows excessive favor to his concubines, it will invite gossip. He will likely still come to you for appearance's sake. I sighed, drank the tea, yet couldn't sleep. Only at dawn did I finally drift off. In my dream, I saw Lin Xian, amidst the downpour. He stood waving at me. The next image showed him wounded on the battlefield, drenched in blood. I woke with a start, drenched in sweat. At dawn, palace attendants bustled in and out. Eunuchs and maidservants sniffled quietly. Terrible news had indeed reached the palace. Lin Xian had perished in battle at the southern frontier. His body never recovered. The valiant young general who once pulled me up onto the eaves to gaze at the auspicious beasts adorning the roof, where we made earnest wishes together, had asked me, Jew, have you heard the tale of the immortal riding a phoenix? I shook my head. He pointed to the auspicious beasts lining the ridgepole and said, See, the first one is the immortal riding the phoenix. Legend says that immortal was King Min of Qi. When he was fleeing for his life, a phoenix appeared and saved him. They say it symbolizes turning misfortune into good fortune. Later generations placed immortals riding the phoenix on ridgepoles for the same meaning. His eyes sparkled brightly. I'm a soldier. Blood is on my hands. It's best I don't enter Buddhist temples or Taoist shrines. I doubt they'd bless me. I shook my head, covering his mouth. Stop talking nonsense. You're going to live 100 years with me. He pressed his palms together, murmuring toward the phoenix immortal. Lin Xian prays only that a Jew may turn misfortune into good fortune and enjoy health and peace year after year. Hey, I'm not going to war. Why are you making wishes for me? His large hands ruffled my hair as he leapt down from the roof ridge. Back then, he was the most radiant youth, proud and carefree, his robes billowing in the wind. His smile was wildly exuberant. I, Lin Xian, am the son of the Grand General of the army. My ancestors are buried on the battlefield. Why should I fear? I only wish for Aju's health and safety year after year. Rain drenched the entire palace grounds. Servants on the eaves stood solemn, while imperial physicians came and went in droves. A distinct stench of decay began to permeate the air. I lay unconscious in bed, losing track of days and nights, while Lin Xian's coffin had already entered the capital. 3 days later, I finally awoke. In my dreams, memories swirled chaotically, and I wept endlessly. My elder sister gazed at me with deep concern. "Your Majesty, why have you come?" She paused, startled. Her eyes suddenly reddened, and she dismissed the attendants. "Aju, you've been unconscious for a very long time." My eyes were swollen like walnuts. I struggled to rise, barefoot on the cold stone floor. "Lin Xian has returned, hasn't he?" My sister wrapped a cloak around me, holding me tightly. "Jewer, the dead cannot be brought back. His Majesty will not let him die in vain under the enemy's iron hooves." Rain pattered outside the window. I lifted my gaze to the eaves, finally unable to hold back. I crouched down. When frightened or anxious, I chewed my fingers until they bled. Panicked, I looked up and met my sister's eyes. "Your Majesty, I want to go to the Lin residence. Please, let me see him." My sister sighed. "Aju, why can't you be more sensible? You are now the official consort of the Eastern Palace. In what capacity would you enter the Lin residence?" I clung to her legs, just as I had when I was little, begging her to take me out to play. She seemed somewhat helpless and could only have her personal maid, Kaiyue, dress me in the attire of a palace maid. "You may only glimpse him from afar." I nodded vigorously. As we left the Eastern Palace, Kaiyue informed me, "His Imperial Highness the Crown Prince personally received General Lin's coffin at the city gate and is now presiding over the funeral rites at the residence." My heart ached unbearably. The Empress' imperial carriage halted before the Lin residence. The once imposing general's mansion was shrouded in white silk banners. The enormous character for mourning pressed down on me like a suffocating weight. My elder sister found an excuse to have Li Xuanya leave the memorial hall. Kaiyue secretly slipped me inside. The spirit tablet engraved with Lin Xian's name stood before me. Yet inside the black coff lay not my little general, but only a pile of broken copper and iron. The Lin family's wails never ceased, until Lin Xian's younger sister, Lin Yao, discovered me. She secretly led me to the front row and lit incense for Lin Xian. "Sister Mingjue, before my brother departed, he asked me to give you something. Back then, I was sulking, thinking you betrayed him by marrying into the Eastern Palace, so I never brought it to you. Today, I just knew you'd come." In the corner, Lin Yao handed me a box. Inside was a necklace made of southern pearls, each one dazzlingly brilliant. "Brother said to me, Sister Mingjue is as brilliant and precious as these pearls. Though I cannot marry you in this lifetime, I still wish for your daily joy and a life free of sorrow." Some of these pearls he obtained while guarding the southern border, diving into the sea with the boat people. The rest were gathered at great expense. Kaiyue supported me. The mournful music began again. Li Xuanye stood behind me, his face dark. He lowered his voice. "Wang Mingjue, you truly are my good wife, the perfect consort of the Eastern Palace. Have you come today to tell everyone that marrying me was a hardship, that your heart belonged to another all along, and that someone forcibly tore apart your perfect union?" He seized my wrist, even in front of my elder sister. His teeth clenched as he spat. "Sister-in-law, keep your meddling out of Mingjue and my affairs. You are no longer merely a daughter of the Wang family, you are now a woman of the Li clan. Focus your attention on tending to my brother's health instead of interfering in the Eastern Palace's domestic matters." He shoved me into the Eastern Palace car. I aged and turned back to preside over the funeral rites. My elder sister sighed. "Mingjue, look forward. He is already dead." Nanny Chang observed my attire. "Your Highness, Why torment yourself thus? I lay on the bed, speechless for a long while, until Li Xuanye kicked open my door amidst a thunderstorm. Soaked by the downpour, his fury burned even brighter. He drove every nanny and palace maid from the room. He seized my throat, pinning me against the wall. Lin Xian is dead. He's dead. He didn't even get to return wrapped in horsehide, for the enemy tore him limb from limb with their horses, trampled him into mud by their beasts. Mingjue, open your eyes and see. I, Li Xuanye, am your husband. His gaze fell upon the brocade box beside the pillow. He opened it with a cold laugh, then ripped the necklace apart. Though your Wang family is a noble house, you still depend on imperial power to survive. Wang Mingjue, you don't truly believe that your father, mother, sister, and Lin Xian all loved you, do you? They did love you, but they feared imperial power even more. Born into the Wang family, you were destined to be the most honored womanly wife. After death, your name shall be inscribed alongside mine in the imperial genealogy. I found strength from somewhere, shoving him away with all my might. The scattered South Sea pearls littered the floor like the tangled strings of my heart. Li Xuanye, I truly despise you beyond measure. His icy lips pressed against mine as his large hands gripped my waist, pinning me tightly against his chest. Seeing me clench my teeth in defiance, he suddenly threw me to the floor. He towered over me, his gaze condescending. What do you think you are? You're my woman, yet you're guarding your virtue for another man. He suddenly sneered. Aju, you're even more ridiculous than I am. Outside, torrential rain poured down. Qing Mingzhu stood stubbornly under an umbrella in the icy downpour. Li Xuanye ignored me, gesturing for the eunuch behind him to gather the scattered South Sea pearls from the ground. For a subject to possess such priceless southern pearls is already an act of transgression. Typically, the palace receives only one share per year, without imperial reward. The Lin family's generosity seems excessive. I bit my lip. He's not that kind of man. These were all obtained during his voyages with the boat people. Li Xuanye. Oh, is that so? But how his final affairs are judged and handled, that is my concern. He took Qing Mingz's hand and departed. The eunuch sighed and urged, Your Highness, our prince is one who speaks harshly but feels tenderly. General Lin Xian's funeral rites are being personally overseen by His Highness. He must leave the palace shortly. You see, Your Highness cares for you deeply, that is why he... No. How could Li Xuanye possibly like me? Before turning away, the eunuch urged once more, Your Highness, this life is lived for yourself. To abandon such a promising future without striving for it, regret will come too late. This palace is full of foolish souls. You must look forward. The matron held me tenderly. My girl, my dear girl, please stop crying. Half a month passed, and I remained listless and weak. Li Xuanye granted Qing Mingzhu exclusive favor. My elder sister specially summoned our parents to the palace. The matron selected a vividly colored gown. Let the master and mistress see you properly. Then they can rest assured. I applied thick layers of powder to barely conceal the dark circles beneath my eyes. Inside Fengming Palace, Mother, seeing my delayed arrival, had already collapsed into tears while clutching my elder sister. Mother embraced me tenderly. Why are your hands so rough? How could you grow so thin in just these few days in the palace? My jewelry used to be as plump as a pearl. How did you become like this? Father, though stern, still showed concern. Jeweler, I know about Shinner's matter. You've suffered greatly. Kneeling on the ground, I pleaded. Father, Mother, I want to go home. I want to return to Langya. Please, take me home. Will you? Mother wiped away tears with a pained expression. Father, however, resumed his stern, unyielding expression. Jeweler, born into the royal house, this is your destiny. You are now the principal consort of the Eastern Palace. How could you possibly return to Langya? And in what capacity would you return to the royal family? even if it costs you your life. You must follow your elder sister's path, become the wife of the crown prince, destined to reign as the empress and mistress of Fengming Palace. Father took mother by the hand, leaving the palace without even eating lunch, within the Phoenix Song Palace. Only my sister and I remained. My sister took my hand. Mingjue, I've cherished and loved you since childhood. Even if you want, think of yourself. Can't you consider me? His Majesty cherishes this younger brother most. If this continues, who can guarantee he won't take another noble lady as the crown prince's official consort? Mingjue. The Wang family's legacy must not end with us. Her soft hand patted my shoulder gently. His Majesty has no hope of having an heir. There's still no good news from the Eastern Palace. I hear that Consort Qing now enjoys exclusive favor. Mingjue. No matter what, we cannot let her bear a child first. The first child of the Eastern Palace must carry the bloodline of our Wang family. He must be the legitimate eldest son. I recalled Li Zun's icy lips and teeth, my heart pounding like a frightened bird. I clutched my elder sister's hand. Sister. No, His Highness doesn't love me. He despises me. How could I possibly bear his child? My sister abruptly shook off my hand. Mingjue. Can you ever understand? That day, my sister, who had always cherished me, punished me by making me kneel outside Fengming Palace for a long time, rubbing my knees, swollen like steamed buns. I returned to the Eastern Palace. Li Xuanye was celebrating Qingming's birthday. She wore that string of southern pearls around her neck, flaunting Li Zun's favor to me with triumph. Your Highness, I hear the Empress punished you with a long kneel today. I wonder if you've thought things through. She stroked the southern pearl necklace around her neck. His Highness personally ordered skilled artisans to thread it with gold thread, just to celebrate my birthday. That was a gift from Lin Xian. Li Xuanye actually gave all those pearls to Qing Mingzhu. He strode into the courtyard and embraced her. Mingzhu is naturally worthy of these dazzling South Sea pearls. They complement her name beautifully. I am delighted to see this outcome and must thank Aju for graciously relinquishing them. I passed them both with a blank expression. After this ordeal, my heart had long turned to ashes. This hollow shell of mine, forced into the mold of a noble lady, had long since lost all freedom. I harbored no ambitions to rule the realm, nor did I possess the grace to be a mother to the empire. All I desired was to fade into the background within these palace walls. Yet Li Xuanye clutched my sleeve as if possessed. Mingjue, have you forgotten even how to be angry? He forced me to kneel beneath the plaque of the Eastern Palace. Before all who served there, under the bright moonlight, laughter filled Qingming's palace halls. The music of silk and bamboo instruments was sweet and melodious. Everyone had someone they loved. Only I had no one left. Nanny Chang, frustrated beyond words. Even Spring, who usually obeyed my every command, spoke up to advise me. Young lady, if only you'd soften your stance. With your beauty that rivals the moon and flowers, why would the prince not love you? At dawn, a eunuch finally summoned me back to my chambers. Li Xuanye sat on my bed, his smile a mask of false warmth. He seized my wrist. I desire only a legitimate heir. Bear this child, and I shall never trouble you again. I loathed the stinking shell imprisoning my soul. He pulled me into his embrace, but I couldn't control my gagging. Your Highness has just come from the secondary consort's quarters to mine. What splendid timing. Alas, this humble servant is indisposed and cannot attend to you. He rose, his voice low. Many women in this realm desire to be the Empress. Mingjue, I cannot persuade you, nor can your family. He slammed the door behind him. That day, I felt as though I were being torn between ice and fire, my body shaking like a sieve. My elder sister, father, mother, everyone demanded I fulfill the Wang family's expectations. But I was never meant to be the phoenix destined for the throne. After that day, many women entered the Eastern Palace. All were noble ladies from distinguished families. The Wang family and my elder sister could no longer sit idly by. Mother specially entered the palace just to place an older, more experienced matron by my side. She aimed to help me secure a position in the Eastern Palace and conceive the heir to the throne as soon as possible. My elder sister schemed relentlessly to help me win Li Zun's heart. She hosted polo matches solely for me to display my horsemanship before him. She organized archery contests just so I could outshine Qing Mingzhu and claim glory once. The palace winds always blew in one direction, either the east wind overwhelmed the west, or the west wind prevailed over the east. No one had ever seen the frail crown princess excel at riding and archery. Even Li Xuanye, who had long ignored me, found his gaze drawn to me. From atop my horse, I could clearly see the unfathomable depths of Li Zun's eyes. As our gazes met, my thoughts turned to the young general who taught me to ride and shoot. I steeled myself and complied with every arrangement made by my mother and elder sister. I forced a smile as I clung to Li Zun's arm, yielding to him at my sister's prompting. Yet he merely froze, speechless. After a moment, he shook me off and remarked, "Wang Mingjue, your smile looks worse than crying." That night, Li Xuanye slept in my chambers. He kissed away my tears one by one, with a tenderness unlike his usual disdainful self. His fingers traced the curve of my shoulder blades. "You're too thin, Mingjue. I remember when you were a little girl. Can you please become that again?" Before I could speak, he began to take me endlessly. Within the crimson silk curtains, he held me tightly, drenched in sweat. His hand rested on my lower abdomen as if carrying some hope. During those days, the women of the Eastern Palace strained every nerve to vie for favor. Qing Mingzhu, in particular, was relentless. After some time, both Qing Mingzhu and I were found to be pregnant. Li Xuanye was overjoyed. Even His Majesty, who had been confined to his sickbed for so long, seemed to regain some vitality upon hearing the news. My elder sister was naturally delighted. In Fengming Palace, she made many tiny garments for the child. Her stitches were fine and dense, the embroidery vivid and lifelike. Yet I felt a demon had taken residence within me, devouring my sanity. I loathed my own flesh, forced to share a body with a child I'd never met. Every moment, I wanted to scream, "Ju, once you give birth to this child, you'll have responsibilities in the Eastern Palace. Things will gradually improve." I dared not share my true thoughts with my sister, only nodding obediently. My sister paused her needlework as if recalling something. Her delicate brows furrowed slightly as she looked at me and asked, "What about Consort Qing? She is also with child now. How do you plan to handle that?" I froze. "Naturally, we will coexist harmoniously. His Highness also desires more heirs. Besides, he promised Mingjue that once the child is born, he will no longer trouble me." Her gaze held a mix of resignation and subtle mockery. "But what if you bear a daughter, and she bears a son?" I shook my head. Even in my foolishness, I understood her meaning. "Sister, I refuse to do anything harmful. She is the one Li Xuanye truly loves. I wish to avoid further trouble within the Eastern Palace." My elder sister smiled gently. "With me here, I will ensure your safety. No one can stand in your way." I clasped her hand tightly and shook my head. Her voice hardened with irritation. "The palace has no place for such a compassionate heart. Don't forget how mother dealt with father's concubines and mistresses back in the family estate. One day, this Phoenix Song Palace will be yours. Do you intend to let them climb over you and stir up trouble? Ju, go back now. When you've thought things through, come seek me at Fengming Palace. Since you cannot win the prince's favor, you must at least preserve your standing. The Wang family's new young lady is growing up. If the clan elders see no hope in you, they may harbor other intentions. Do not blame me for speaking plainly." Chun'er helped me out. At the palace gates, Chun'er lowered her voice hesitantly. "Your Highness, His Majesty now lies bedridden. The empress attends him personally each day, with few women remaining in the harem. All eyes are fixed upon our Eastern Palace. No one will stake their hopes on the emperor anymore. I dare say, Your Highness, even if not for yourself. You must fight for the child within you, amidst the palace walls flanking the path. I remained silent for a long while. Chun'er said nothing either. We clutched a palace lantern, walking in silence toward the eastern palace. The heavy jewels adorning my hair made my head grow even more dizzy. Li Xuanye leaned against the eastern palace gate, smiling at me. My brother was in high spirits today and made me drink several extra cups. Ju, I have something to give you too. He took my hand and led me toward the sleeping chamber, instructing a eunuch to bring in the gift he had prepared. A massive night pearl was mounted on a stand. Though drunk, his eyes lacked their usual coldness. He pulled me closer as we paced toward it. Look, Ju, isn't this night pearl beautiful? Southern pearls are so petty, each one so small. With a night pearl this large, you won't need to light candles at night anymore. Ju, this is my heartfelt gift. My elder brother once said one shouldn't be cold toward a woman one loves, nor should one lose one's temper with her. I was wrong in the past. Now, let's live well together, shall we? His palm rested gently on my belly. A faint light flickered in his eyes. Ju, could you try to love me too? His sudden confession startled me. I stumbled backward. Your Highness, you promised me once I bear you a legitimate heir. We need never see each other again. In an instant, he reverted to his former self. Without a word, he slammed the door and left. I collapsed into the chair, drained of all strength. From that day on, Li Xuanye returned to his usual icy demeanor. He often stayed in Qingming's chambers and prepared lavish gifts for her child. As for me, he paid me no mind. My belly grew larger day by day, making Chun'er and the wet nurse increasingly anxious. The other secondary consorts and noble ladies all came from distinguished families and naturally looked down upon the daughter of a mountain bandit. They often came to keep me company, seeing that I was not favored by His Highness. They grew increasingly kind and affectionate toward me. Qing Liandi, skilled in embroidery, made many baby clothes for me. Qin Concubine's family was a renowned clan in Jiangnan, possessing the craftsmanship of the imperial jewelry workshop. She personally crafted several gold necklaces for me, with them keeping me company daily. I never felt lonely. Yet Qing Mingzhu, spoiled by her favor, often came to my chambers to flaunt her power. Even on my birthday, she outshone all the other women with her unparalleled beauty. The 5 phoenix hairpin she wore, a jewel reserved for the empress and the official consort of the Eastern Palace, was now pinned in her hair by Li Xuanye. Her hand rested on her prominently rounded belly. His Highness favors me, so naturally he extends his affection to my child. Unlike certain other sons loved by His Highness, whose offspring are ignored, her provocations grew bolder, her words cutting deep. Though Her Majesty the Empress holds her exalted position, she can no longer bear children. Yet here I am, pregnant, yet unloved. The royal house of Wang, what a pitiful spectacle, utterly foolish. For my birthday banquet, I invited several consorts who are close to me. They come from prominent families. Even though there are often disagreements between these families, they all disapprove of a woman like Qing Mingzhu, who is arrogant because of her favor. She can criticize me, but she cannot insult my sister and my family. I stood up and ordered Nanny Chang to slap her face. Qing Mingzhu, however, laughed. Your Highness, seeing my injuries would surely pain you. Li Xuanye cleared his throat from the doorway, and only then did Qing Mingzhu change her tune. Li Xuanye looked at me, took my hand, and led me outside. Today is her birthday. I shall take her out for a stroll. You may all return to your quarters after your meal. He guided me into a palanquin, which carried us to the palace gates. We boarded a carriage. It brought us to a new residence. This mansion was an exact replica of our old home in Langya. I froze, then saw my parents emerge from the gate to greet us. Li Xuanye wore a smug expression. This birthday gift was prepared hastily, though preparations began months ago. I know your family has a residence in the capital, but this mansion is my gift to you. If you feel stifled in the palace, you may move out and stay here for a while, as long as you're happy. Father and mother took my hands, their eyes resting on my belly as they smiled with relief. Li Xuanye stood at the doorway. Stay here for a few days. They'll come back to fetch you later. He climbed into his carriage and departed once more. A flicker of guilt passed through mother's eyes before she pulled me forward again. His Highness meant well. Ju. Perhaps you should try getting along with him. Those days, father and mother stayed by my side every single day. I had truly believed this was Li Zun's gift to me. But little did I know he was as calculating as a demon from the Avicii hell. On the 7th day of my stay at the mansion, after the servant brought me the pregnancy-preserving medicine, he quietly conversed with someone else in the courtyard. I hear the Lin family's general title was stripped, demoting them to commoners. Not only that, but even their collateral branches were implicated. They've been explicitly barred from holding official positions henceforth. Another servant lowered his voice. His Majesty is too merciful. This entire affair was orchestrated by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Now it's causing an uproar throughout the capital. The maid glanced toward my room. Seeing I wasn't present, she whispered, His Highness sent our young mistress to this residence precisely to shield her from further distress during her pregnancy. After all, back when young General Lin Xian nearly, fate is truly cruel. I heard Lady Lin Yao went to the Eastern Palace seeking our young mistress. But since she wasn't there, Lady Lin knelt outside the Supreme Court for ages without being received. They say the Lin family advocates war, and those with ulterior motives are making a big deal out of it. I opened the window, and the group exchanged nervous glances. Young mistress. We've only heard rumors. Chun'er waved her hand, and they scattered in a flurry. Chun'er and the matron looked awkward. My parents, who had rushed over upon hearing the news, also dared not lift their eyes to meet mine. Father, mother, Nanny Chiniryu all knew about the Lin family's situation. But I was kept in the dark. Wasn't that so? Mother embraced me. My dear daughter, your father and I didn't mean to hide it from you. All the noble families have sided with His Imperial Highness the Crown Prince, even though our Wang family and the Lin family are long-standing allies. We couldn't intervene this time. Father gazed toward the doorway. Our dynasty has been at war for years, leaving us hollowed out within. We cannot fight anymore. The Lin family stood in others' way, so this was their inevitable fate, ignoring the attempts to stop me. I rode my horse to the gates of the Supreme Court of Justice. Lin Yao had been kneeling for so long her face was ashen, her lips parched. Seeing me arrive, she finally cried out, Sister Ju, the Lin family has fallen. My brother has just died, and now the Lin family is ruined. Sister, I beg you, save the Lin family. Save us. Our entire clan has served the empire loyally. We cannot be allowed to fall into ruin like this. I told Lin Yao to return home first while I went to the Eastern Palace to seek justice for them. When I returned alone to the Eastern Palace, Qing Mingzhu was basking in the courtyard sun. Her tone carried a hint of mockery. Your Highness has returned. Have you heard of the Lin family's affairs? That girl named Lin Yao, bearing the Lin family's imperial pass, knelt outside the Eastern Palace for a long time, only to find your Highness absent from the palace. Then she went to Fengming Palace. But the Empress was also shut away. I hear both the Empress and your Highness treated that Lin Yao girl like a sister in your youth. Now it seems this sisterly bond was nothing special. I wonder if that young general who met his end in the underworld feels cold in his grave. I could no longer contain the rage boiling within me. I had always been a pushover, retreating step by step from my own boundaries. Why did everyone feel entitled to test my limits? My hand shot out, and she slapped her face in disbelief. Wang Mingjue, you dare strike me? When Li Xuanye entered the Eastern Palace, I was in the midst of a struggle with Qing Mingzhu. He shoved me aside, shielding Qing Mingzhu in his arms. Had it not been for several eunuchs willingly acting as human shields, my belly would have hit the ground first. Mingjue, This is going too far. If you have an issue, take it out on me. There's no need to vent your anger on Mingzhu. I turned to leave, my face twisted with grief and indignation, only to find my elder sister standing nearby, watching me coldly. Where is the dignity befitting the Eastern Palace's principal consort? Overwhelmed by sudden fury, I suddenly noticed bloodstains on my skirt hem. Unable to hold myself up any longer, I fainted. That familiar, decaying scent one only I could detect filled the air once more. My eyes remained shut, refusing to open. When I opened them, Li Zun's icy face stared down at me. Thankfully, the child in your womb is unharmed. Qing Mingzhu still serves a purpose to me. You must never challenge her again. I won't ruin my entire scheme for your sake. I always believed you, as a noble woman, would understand my plans. There is no room for compromise regarding the Lin family. This is for your own good. The matron and Chun'er rushed back from the mansion. Seeing me like this, they could find no words to comfort me. My belly grew larger and larger, devouring my last shred of reason and hope. I didn't possess the innate maternal love my elder sister spoke of. I hated everything about the Eastern Palace, hated my origins. I rarely spoke anymore, only reading silently on the soft couch, lost in books for days on end, even with child. My body grew ever more frail. Li Xuanye was consumed by affairs of state, while my sister tended daily to the emperor, bedridden with illness. Each time they visited me, seeing my self-destructive state, they bluntly declared I was beyond redemption. My sister said she was deeply disappointed in me. Li Xuanye warned me to abandon any thoughts of escaping the palace walls. I became a bird startled by a bowstring. Night after night, sleep eluded me. The old nurse, pitying me, would hold me close and sing lullabies as she did when I was a child. The horses return home, the birds return home, and the little one must return home too. But now, I have no home to return to. Li Xuanye is perpetually busy, rushing about without a moment's rest. He always enters my chambers in the wee hours of the morning. I feign ignorance, pretending to be fast asleep. Sometimes he sits by the bedside, watching me for a long time. He sighs in the dead of night, then draws near my back, embracing me with the utmost care. Once, as he stroked my belly, he whispered softly, "Little one, when you're born, Daddy will make sure you're the happiest child." I tried to send messages to Lin Yao and discreetly send some silver to the Lin family, but Li Zun's men always intercepted them. His large hand would grab my wrist, as if he were holding a chicken ready for slaughter. My woman must stand by my side unconditionally, not squander others' generosity. After that, my health gradually declined. That putrid stench grew more frequent in my nostrils. The matron and Chun'er claimed they couldn't smell it. Perhaps I had long since regarded myself as a walking corpse, my flesh and soul both rotting away. Chun'er pitied me and offered to visit the Lin family outside the palace in my stead. "My dear girl, stay here and rest for the birth. I'll deliver the items to Miss Lin Yao." That night, Chun'er did not return. Qing Ming's pet civet cried out all night long. The next day, Chun'er was thrown back into my chambers, her body covered in wounds. Her tongue had been torn out. Li Xuanye stood towering over her, crushing her hand underfoot. "I have told you. You are my woman. Do not speak of others' generosity. That the Lin family still dwells in their mansion is already a great blessing. Those who clamor for war care not for the people's lives. Rest and recuperation is the true path. I doubt you grasp such matters. I only asked you to stay quietly withy. And the palace walls. Could you not even manage that? Chun'er was your dowry maid, but she also served the Eastern Palace. Since this mouth would not advise the principal consort, her tongue was removed. Let her never speak again." Chun'er's face contorted with terror, yet only muffled sobs escaped her. In the dead of night, Li Ma, sent by mother, tightened the white silk cord around Chun'er's neck. Moonlight cast her face in eerie pallor. "Your Highness, This servant acts for your own good. Chun'er, ever at your side, failed to counsel you wisely, provoking His Highness' wrath. Now she suffers death would be her deliverance. I stumbled forward, shoving her away. I shielded Chun'er behind me, the daze of dread pounding my temples. Clutching her desperately, I growled, "Touch her, and you'll have to kill me first." Nanny Li spoke in a hollow tone. "Your Highness, even if I don't harm her, others won't spare her." Only Chun'er and I remained in the chamber, though frail. She wiped my tears, shaking her head at me. Chun'er feared my sorrow and never wept before me. Qing Mingzhu naturally seized this chance to revel in the spectacle. I knew not what schemes or plans Li Xuanye harbored for her. Pregnant and swollen, she came to provoke me time and again. Unable to speak, Chun'er drove her from my side chamber. Qing Mingzhu persisted relentlessly, claiming she had suffered a miscarriage. Li Xuanye tacitly permitted her to inflict private punishment on Chun'er. As Qing Mingzhu's 9-section whip lashed Chun'er's body, she ordered eunuchs to strip Chun'er naked. I lunged forward, and the whip struck me instead. A warm surge flowed beneath me as I collapsed to the ground. Carried into the bedchamber, midwives bustled in and out. Chun'er knelt by the bedside, wiping my sweat. "Your Highness, push, Your Highness." I lost count of how many voices urged me on until, with my final effort, I saw their faces light with joy. "Your Highness, it's a prince." After hearing those words, I lost all strength and slipped into unconsciousness. In my dream, I seemed to see Lin Qian again. "Do you blame me?" He shook his head and waved at me. "Go back. A Jew. This isn't where you belong." I cried out. "Lin Qian, can you take me away now? I regret it. I don't care about anything anymore. Please take me away." "Okay." His gaze softened. He reached to touch my cheek but lowered his hand instead. "A Jew. You must live well. A Jew. You will overcome all dangers and find peace year after year." His figure gradually faded, growing ever more distant. I felt as if I were falling into a whirlpool, unwilling to wake. "Lin Qian, please, please come see me again." But this time, he did not reappear. I opened my eyes to the faint glow of dawn. Li Xuanye sat beside the bed, holding my hand. Seeing me awake, he said joyfully, "Ah Jew, you've given birth to a son for me." He took the infant from the wet nurse. The delicate, porcelain-like baby was placed beside me, but I turned my face away. "Your Highness, now that the child is born, this humble servant only wishes to live out my days in the Buddhist hall. I pray for your understanding." He ordered the child to be taken away. "What if I refuse?" "Your Highness may do as you please. Mingjue is now no different from a walking corpse. If your Highness desires this body, you may dispose of it as you see fit." Our eyes locked. His own reddening. Tears fell onto my face. "I want your heart. Why can't I be the one you love?" The moment I first met your sister at the poetry gathering in the capital, I fell for you disguised as a young scholar's attendant, secretly stuffing pastries from the table when no one was looking. Later, your sister became His Majesty's principal consort. After the emperor ascended the throne, she became empress. I had planned to wait until the 3-year mourning period ended before proposing marriage at your residence. Yet heaven took pity. His Majesty's health failed, and he intended to name me crown prince. The position of crown prince's principal consort would then rightfully be yours. I closed my eyes, unwilling to look at him. Yet he spoke with self-mockery. "Do you know how overjoyed I was that day?" Bitterness welled within me. "Your Highness' affection is a burden Mingjue cannot bear." Within the Eastern Palace, who does not know that the one closest to your Highness' heart is Consort Qing? There is no need for such lofty words. They only diminish me and betray the bond between you and Consort Qing. Li Xuanye tucked the quilt around me. Before leaving, he gazed at me. "She is but a pawn." None of the palace attendants dared lift their eyes to meet his. Chun'er closed the door and joined the wet nurse in watching the infant in the cradle. The autumn wind howled as dusk fell, and only then did my elder sister arrive. Sister held the child, her face a mask of relief. His Majesty clings to life only through medicinal broth. That you bore him an heir brings me profound comfort. She stroked my cheek tenderly. Sister had no choice. Mingjue, do not blame me. I shook my head. Her gaze drifted toward the direction of Qingming's chambers. She still struts about like she owns the place. They'll see how long she can keep that up. She's just spoiled by favor. Doesn't my sister know who the real instigator is? My sister sighed, stroking my cheek. Take good care of yourself, Mingjue. Your best days are yet to come. She hurried back to His Majesty's chambers. On the night Qingmingzhu gave birth, His Majesty fell gravely ill. The Eastern Palace lay eerily quiet. The midwife who should have attended Qingmingzhu never arrived. The imperial physicians were all gathered at His Majesty's side, leaving no one to tend to Qingmingzhu. She screamed in agony, her heart torn apart. Even her personal attendants had been reassigned. Attendants from Fengming Palace came to fetch me, instructing me to carry the infant to His Majesty's chambers. Seeing my hesitation, Auntie Cui smiled gently. Your Highness, please come. The Empress and His Majesty await you. Auntie, did you not hear Consort Cheng's cries? Auntie Cui supported me. What cries? This servant heard nothing. His Majesty is gravely ill. His final wish is only to see the young prince. I boarded the palanquin and journeyed to His Majesty's Qianing Palace. His Majesty lay in Li Zun's arms, cradled by him. My elder sister dismissed everyone and personally presented the child to His Majesty. Xuanye has an heir, and Mingjue has earned this merit. Your Majesty, you may rest assured. His Majesty waved his hand. I am nearing my end. Let the wet nurse take the child down to rest, lest he catch my illness. He clasped my sister's hand tightly. Ruolin, marrying me has been a hardship for you. Had it not been for your devoted care these past years, I fear my soul would have long since departed this world. Ruolin, I have wronged you. My sister's voice choked with emotion. Jinling, to marry you as your wife is my blessing. The Emperor turned his gaze to me. Mingjue, your sister, she has endured much hardship. You will be the mistress of Fengming Palace in the future. You must treat your elder sister well. I nodded. Then, His Majesty began to struggle for breath. He grabbed Li Zun's hand. Xuanye, your elder brother cannot hold on. This empire will be yours in the future. Promise your elder brother. Be a good emperor. There must be no more wars. The moment His Majesty drew his last breath, my elder sister collapsed to the floor. Li Xuanye laid His Majesty to rest, then forced himself to suppress his grief and stepped out to take charge. My elder sister stood with her back to me. Jingling, loving and knowing you since childhood has been my greatest fortune. Ruolin has no regrets. But in the past, clearly sister and Li Xuanye. As this thought crossed my mind, Li Xuanye pulled me out of the bedchamber. Li Xuanye seemed to read my thoughts. He offered a forced smile, saying, my closeness with your sister back then was merely to deliver messages for my imperial brother. The morning bells of the imperial city tolled, and my mind suddenly cleared. At that very moment, a eunuch from the Eastern Palace stumbled in with urgent news. Your Highness, Consort Cheng is hemorrhaging during childbirth. The midwife awaits your decision. Li Zun's face betrayed no emotion. He spoke indifferently. Save the child. The eunuch hurried back in a rush. Li Xuanye stared at my face. Qingfeng Fortress holds the treasure map of the late Emperor Gaozong from the previous dynasty. Our empire has been ravaged by years of war, leaving the people in dire straits. If we find that treasure map and recover those riches, adding them to the imperial treasury, it might just resolve this crisis. I froze. So you deliberately approached Qingmingzhu? Li Xuanye nodded. My relationship with her was nothing but a charade. How could I possibly fancy such a coarse woman, were it not for that treasure map? How could I have tolerated her staying in the Eastern Palace? provoking you day after day. Chunner and the wet nurse, cradling the infant, looked at me with worry etched on their faces. I gave a bitter smile. She may be despicable, but how pure are you, really? As we stepped through the eastern palace gates, Qingming's screams had long since ceased. Basins of hot, blood-stained water were being carried in and out. A baby's wail pierced the air. The midwife emerged with joyful news. It's a princess. A little princess. Court ladies scrambled to summon the imperial physician. The empress is bleeding. Quick. Someone. Chunner tugged at my sleeve, shaking her head at me. Outside her bedchamber, other concubines stood guard as the air thickened with the heavy scent of blood. The matron cried out, "Your Highness, something terrible has happened." Only then did everyone rush inside. Blood soaked through the bedding beneath Qingmingzhu. Her face was deathly pale, her forehead drenched in sweat. "Where is His Highness? Why hasn't he come yet? You're all just here to laugh at me, aren't you?" Her voice grew fainter and fainter until her eyes closed. Li Xuanyan never once returned to see her. The late emperor ascended heaven. The secondary consort passed away. And I, the useless primary consort, was dragged into managing affairs. My physical weakness became painfully apparent at this time. After the late emperor's funeral rites, my elder sister moved out of Fengming Palace. Palace attendants packed my belongings and addressed me as Your Majesty the Empress. I often fell into deep slumber in Fengming Palace, sometimes sleeping for an entire day. My eyesight gradually dimmed. Li Xuanyi insisted on forcing Qingming's daughter upon me to raise. The simultaneous wails of both children only deepened my anguish. After ascending the throne, he deliberately disregarded the late emperor's wishes, refusing to observe the state mourning period. Instead, he hastened to expand the imperial lineage, marrying numerous noble ladies into the palace. The palace buzzed with activity. They called each other sisters, yet behind closed doors, their rivalries raged fiercely. Long had no one remembered that Fengming Palace still housed an ailing empress. Despite their relentless scheming for favor, none ever swayed Li Xuanyi to consider appointing a new empress. My elder sister now resides in a suburban villa outside the palace, bearing the title of imperial sister-in-law. As Li Xuanyi was only the crown prince's younger brother, not her heir, she could not be honored as empress dowager. Instead, she dwells in the suburban villa under the title of Empress Huiqing. Empress Huiqing enters the palace monthly to visit me in Fengming Palace. Seeing my gaunt and emaciated form, she weeps with heartache. My entire life has been buried within these palace walls. That musty stench, detectable only to me, envelopes my entire being. My 2 children, nursed by their wet nurse, have grown plump and fair. Chunner and the wet nurse often carry them to play in the courtyards of Fengming Palace. Since ascending the throne, Li Xuanyi has been perpetually occupied, rarely visiting the inner palace. After reading my parents' letters, I learned they had petitioned the emperor to allow my elder sister to return to Langia for her daily life. They also requested an imperial decree granting a marriage for my younger brother. My little brother and Lin Yao had grown up together, loving and understanding each other. Now, their wish had finally been granted. My elder sister said it was because my parents, seeing me, didn't want another child to suffer. Yes, it was truly wonderful. My elder sister has also returned to Langia. Nanny Chang, advanced in years, passed away peacefully in her recliner on a clear winter day. Now I have only Nanny Li and Chunner left. Nanny Li was sent by my mother long ago. Once sharp and decisive, she has grown incredibly kind and loving. She often sews little garments for the children. Chunner, unable to speak, honed her culinary skills to perfection. A year passed. Winter gave way to spring. I fell ill, gravely so. My strength had long since deserted me. Everyone pressed forward, while I remained trapped in place, seeing my complexion grow ever paler. Chunner secretly summoned the imperial physician. Unexpectedly, the physician was called away by Consort Shin, who had once been my close friend. She wore exquisite finery, adorned with jewels and pearls. Her once delicate features now radiated an air of regal splendor. She was now consort Shen. She said, "Wang Mingjue, you possess so much already. Why cling to the empress throne?" I shook my head. But her voice grew deeper. "You've always been so weak and helpless, never fit to be empress. Rest assured, should I ever take residence in Fengming Palace, I'll care for both you and Qingming's child." Suddenly, I recalled an aunt of mine who married into the imperial family and lived in constant melancholy. Grandmother had warned me, "Little Jewer, never enter the palace. The imperial city devours minds." Little did I know her words would prove prophetic. Here I am in the Eastern Palace, then in Fengming Palace. I never wanted this position of empress to begin with. I looked at Consort Shen. "If you wish, you may take this seat anytime." She turned and left. "Mingjue, whether you believe it or not, I never wanted to harm anyone, but I had no choice. If I didn't harm others, others would harm me. There are no good people in this palace." Consort Shen departed. At her request, Fengming Palace became off limits to the rest of the court. Once, Chun'er could still go to the pharmacy to fetch restorative herbs, but now she couldn't even step outside the gates. My elder sister returned to Langya. Father and mother must be so happy with grandchildren at their feet. In the entire imperial city, I alone remained, struggling to hold everything together. But I was never a brave or resolute child. My fortune was thin, my fate shallow. I was never meant for such a high position. Nanny Li had a sharp tongue, yet she pitied me, a perfectly good empress, reduced to this state. If your parents were to find out, this old servant would have no face left to show them. Today, I'll risk my life to bring the imperial physician. My dear girl, if your heart breaks, everything breaks. Don't forget you still have your son." I took her hand. "Nanny, I know my own body. There's no need for the physician." The matron dashed into the rain. Chun'er followed close behind. Matron Li shook her head. "Good Chun'er. Stay with Her Majesty. She cares for you deeply. It was wrong of me to seek your life back then. I only ever wanted Her Majesty to be well." The matron raced through the rain-soaked night to Qingming Palace. Yet Shingaifai's people still blocked any news from Fengming Palace from reaching Li Zunzi. Ours. In this palace, favor was the ultimate weapon. Everyone knew the empress in Fengming Palace was not favored by His Majesty. Kept like a caged bird that hadn't left her chambers in ages. Even those from distinguished families carried their own scales of judgment within the palace walls. My worth had long since become as light as a feather. The imperial physician still hadn't arrived. Chun'er looked at me with pity in her eyes. Her mouth opened, but only a black void emerged. She couldn't speak. The wet nurses, seeing no profit to be made in Fengming Palace, had long since left the palace. Only Chun'er and the old nurse remained to care for me and the child. Seeing the blood coughed onto my handkerchief, she wept with heartache. Good Chun'er, don't cry, don't cry. You should be glad your young mistress will soon be freed." Chun'er urgently held the child for me to see. With every ounce of strength, she formed simple syllables. "The child needs his mother." In the rain-soaked night, Li Xuanye thrust open the gates of Fengming Palace, umbrella in hand. He wore the imperial yellow dragon robe, his face dark with fury, but I saw no sign of the matron. Li Xuanye pushed through the doors, locking eyes with me. "Wang Mingjue, you are the empress. What more could you possibly want? Should you ever step outside Fengming Palace, the entire palace city including this emperor would be yours for the taking. Your favor would surpass all others. Where is the imperial physician? Physician, examine the empress properly. If anyone dares neglect their duties in Fengming Palace henceforth, they shall be executed without mercy." He dragged me and laid me upon the bed. My emaciated arms made him pause in surprise. His hand brushed my shoulder. His voice choked with emotion. "You are truly as timid as a mouse. If you hate me, why not curse me properly? Why not kill me? I lifted my gaze to meet his. Your Majesty, I cannot control my own fate. I dare not challenge imperial authority, for I still have my family. But I truly wish to die, not to punish anyone, but because I truly wish to die. Hearing this, he flew into a rage. After taking my pulse, the imperial physician knelt before me. Your Majesty has lived in fear and dread these years. Her heart ailment is beyond cure, causing her body to waste away prematurely, compounded by the difficult birth of the young prince and excessive worry during confinement. We ministers are utterly helpless. Li Xuanye roared. You all feed off the imperial treasury, yet you're nothing but useless fools. Why couldn't you cure her? Why? A eunuch beside him whispered. If the imperial physicians fail, there are still the medical clans and wandering practitioners. Your Majesty, you must take care of your own health. Li Xuanye seemed possessed, tears streaming down his face. He didn't know if he was comforting me or himself. Right. There are still these people. There are still them. I will not let anything happen to my empress. Consort Shen was banished to the cold palace, and Lady Li perished forever in that rain-soaked night. She had fought desperately to find Li Xuanye. Her body already riddled with stab wounds inflicted by Consort Shen's attendants. Of those who once stood by my side, Lady Cheng, Lady Li, and Chinnerin Chunner remains now. They've done so much for me. I refuse to burden them further as I approach death. News of my critical illness reached the Wang family. Father and mother, my elder sister residing at the Langya Palace, along with my younger brother and Lin Yao. All came. Lin Yao was pregnant, her complexion rosy, standing beside my brother. They looked utterly perfect together. Mother held me close. My daughter, my Jewer. Why has it come to this? My elder sister wept as she apologized. Jewer. It is I who have wronged you. Had I not shared a deep bond with the late emperor, had I not schemed to marry the crown prince, you would never have had to wed into the Li family. I am the one who failed you. I wiped away their tears. I had no strength left for many words. As for Chang Nanny, there's no need to speak of her. Li Nanny died for me. You must treat her family in Langya well. Chunner endured so much suffering for me. I feel utterly worthless. With my family name and status, there were things I dared not do. Yet Chunner did them all for me. I cannot fail to consider her. The Langya royal house must forever regard her as a benefactor. Provide for her well until her old age. If she wishes to marry, let her choose. If not, she shall remain supported by the royal house until her passing. After these words, I fell into a long, deep unconsciousness. All I could hear were my father, mother, and sister calling out beside me. Court physicians frantically applied needles to my body. I was so tired. I wanted so badly to go home. I hated this palace. I hated the man who shared my bed. I was foolish. I knew full well that if I merely played along, I could win His Majesty's favor and become the empress. But I was afraid. I was terrified. I dreaded Li Zunyi's unpredictable temper, feared being merely a pawn on someone else's chessboard. I was so tired, so utterly exhausted. I could hear Li Xuanye cradling our child and whispering in my ear, Mingjue, open your eyes and look at our child. I was so tired. I couldn't open my eyes no matter how hard I tried. When I awoke again, everyone in the bedchamber lay exhausted in sleep. I tiptoed cautiously to the cradle, gazing at this child I had carried for 10 months and given birth to. When my fingers brushed his face, he would smile at me. When tears fell upon his skin, he would pout. Little treasure. Mother is weak. Mother doesn't hate you. Little treasure. Mother is sick. Only mother can smell the rotten stench on her own body. Mother dares not hold you. Little treasure. Mother hopes you will be safe and sound. Your father is the emperor. No one will ever bully you. In another cradle, Qing Ming's daughter slept peacefully. She was the unloved princess. Li Xuanye had never even held her. Child, your mother and I are both birds in a cage. I fear this reality with clarity, yet she finds sweetness in it. When you grow up, do not become like us. Become an eagle that soars free. I walked over to Li Xuanye, who lay beside me with eyes closed. Tears glistened in the corners of his eyes. I knew he was feigning sleep. Li Xuanye, you say you love me, yet I know nothing of imperial intrigue, nor how love twisted by ambition can blossom into madness. Let me go. Let me return to Langya. Staying here, day after day, night after night, is driving me mad. He remained silent. I returned to my bed. Mother awoke, clutching me. My child has awakened. Come see my child. A blunt physician declared, Your Majesty is experiencing a final burst of strength. My elder sister wept uncontrollably. Li Xuanye finally rose, gazing at me. Wang Mingjue returned to Langya. His lips trembled, his voice thick with choked emotion. Wang Mingjue, I no longer wish you to be my empress. I think this was the first time I ever smiled at Li Xuanye with genuine sincerity. Thank you, Your Majesty. He turned away and hurried off. Moonlight filled the sky as Mother held me in the carriage. She wept. Mother is so sorry for you. Chun'er, my elder sister, and father were all with me. The carriage rocked gently. I knew I was on my way back to Langya. What did Langya hold? Langya held my freedom, and my little horse. More importantly, it held my little general. Closing my eyes, I could see Lin Xian. Lin Xian. We'll never be apart again. Don't blame me for being cowardly back then. I was afraid. All right. Silly goose. We'll never be apart again. Chun'er's side story after the young lady passed away. His Majesty visited her grave every year. He always came expressionless, leading a rosy-cheeked little bundle. When the little bundle was still in swaddling clothes, it was me and 2 wet nurses who cared for him. The wet nurses were attentive at first, but upon seeing that Fengming Palace was no place for a child, they secretly feigned illness and left the palace. The little one was very well behaved. His Majesty named him Junlin Junlin, as in ruling the world. He would hold my hand obediently, knowing I couldn't speak. Head coax me. Auntie Chun, shall we return to the palace? Liner will care for you from now on. I knew he barely remembered his mother. He wanted me to go back, but I couldn't speak, nor could I tell him stories about his mother. Little Junlin hired a tutor for me to teach me writing. Over time, I learned to write letters from Langya and send them to young Junlin. I told him his mother had been a kind-hearted girl, mischievous in her youth, but once she entered the palace walls, she seemed transformed. I also told him his mother didn't dislike him, she simply couldn't even love herself anymore within the palace. Little Junlin ascended the throne at 13. From the age of 7, Li Xuanye became obsessed with seeking immortality and elixirs. Junlin wrote to me that the emperor's alchemy chamber hung countless portraits of the late empress. Whoever consumed those elixirs could see their longed-for loved ones in illusory realms. As Li Xuanye lay dying, he clasped Junlin's hand. Child, if there is a next life, do you think your mother might come to love me? With a yearning for the next existence, he closed his eyes in haste. I understand you, young lady. Once you set your heart on someone, you remain steadfast. You were once the brightest maiden of the Langya royal house. She once rode fiery steeds and hunted with arrows alongside the young general. She was no frail maiden. Her clan and the palace walls imprisoned her for a lifetime. I still recall begging my way to Langya during years as a child. I endured humiliation, beatings, and curses. Then the young lady appeared, riding a chestnut mare, her whip sliced through the air, a sight of breathtaking beauty. Later, within the Eastern Palace, she remarked how beautifully Qingmingzhu wielded her 9-section whip. She must have forgotten how formidable she herself once was. How radiant. She pushed away those who bullied me, shielding me behind her. She belongs to this lady now. If you dare touch my person again, you're asking for trouble. I became her personal maid. Yet she never let her servants burden me with heavy labor. The finest food, drink, and entertainment were always shared with us. Young General Lin would often climb over the walls to find her. They were childhood sweethearts, innocent and pure, destined lovers. I prayed the young lady would always be happy. Occasionally, someone in the mansion would bully me. The young lady would always confront them. What kind of man bullies women? Such was her fiery spirit. I watched her marry into the Eastern Palace. Trembling with fear, she was never meant for royalty. Her parents raised her to run wild and free. Yet suddenly everyone told her she must bear the weight of the royal house's rise and fall. She grew cautious, walking on eggshells. Yet Li Zun's temper was peculiar, gentle to others, but fiercely volatile toward our young mistress. She suppressed her anger, never daring to argue, fearful of bringing ruin upon her family. Even her sister, who had always cherished her, seemed transformed. Everyone forced her to become someone else. When the Lin family faced trouble, she was terrified. I acted on her behalf, only to be caught by Li Xuanye, who cut out my tongue. To say I didn't hate him would be a lie. But seeing her worry for me, weeping bitterly for me, my dear Chunner, it's my failure I couldn't protect you. I couldn't speak, only making incoherent sounds. My dear girl, when faced with the overwhelming might of imperial power, it's not that you're useless, it's that they hold absolute authority. Later, trying to protect me, she suffered a premature birth. She saved my life countless times. If she took this life of mine, I'd accept it willingly. When Lady Li came to scheme for the girl at the mistress' command, she wanted my death-fearing ID cause trouble again. But the young lady shielded me as if I were some priceless treasure. Truthfully, this worthless life of mine would have ended long ago without her. Yet she wept bitterly with heartache. Chunner, don't be afraid. As long as I'm here, no one will ever bully you again. Later, the young lady became empress and moved into Fengming Palace. The former eldest daughter left Fengming Palace but was allowed to return to Langya. Li Xuanye sulked and refused to visit Fengming Palace. The young lady enjoyed her freedom, but her health deteriorated. The consorts who had been friendly with her in the Eastern Palace began to ignore her. Even the imperial physicians were barred from attending her. Nanny Li risked her life, but I knew the girl had long since given up on living. Nanny Li's death only deepened her guilt. Yet she still worried about securing a future for me. When the Wang family descended upon Fengming Palace, they returned intact. The eldest daughter settled in Langya Palace as Empress Huiqing, while father and mother both gained daughter Sin Luon, of whom was already with child. Their joy remained everlasting. Only my girl endured bitter suffering within these palace walls. Had it not been for the concubine's suicide dragging her family down, I believe she would have long since ended her life to join General Lin. She stubbornly dragged her sickly body along, waiting for her final breath. No one in the Wang family was harmed. Their power grew even more overwhelming. Only my girl bore countless wounds. On the day she passed, I heard her whispering to the child, and I heard her words to Li Xuanye. When Li Xuanye told her to return to Langya, I breathed a sigh of relief for her. Return to Langya, my girl. There lies your freedom, your little horse, and your young general. I shall forever remember a grassy slope in Langya. Several horses grazed together, hidden behind trees. I and the other maidservants peered secretly at the girl and the young general. Her cheeks flushed crimson as she tied a red thread around the young general's wrist. Hey, Lin Xian, you're not allowed to marry anyone else this lifetime. He smiled brightly. Hey, this lifetime, next lifetime, the lifetime after that, I'll only ever choose you. Wang Mingjue. The end.